Is Aiden Hill a one-hit wonder? Did he just go on a tear on a hot streak in the 2023 season? Will he ever return to championship form? We answer those questions next, right here on Locked On Golden Knights.
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hi again, everyone. Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick from Las Vegas. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. And you could find us wherever you get your podcast. And please make sure to subscribe to our Locked On Golden Knights YouTube channel. We are brought to you today by FanDuel. Go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. And right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. Chris, would you add Aiden Hill to this list, perhaps that includes artists like Bauer and the Harlem Shake and Technotronic, Pump Up the Jam, and Gary Newman's Cars and Blues Image Ride Captain Ride? Had to go deep for that one. All these artists are considered one-hit wonders in music. Do you believe that Aiden Hill is a one-hit wonder goaltender, a flash in the pan, who just got hot at the right time in last season's playoffs? One hot spurt earned him the bag of about $10 million over 2 years.
Right now, today, June the 4th, 2024, yes, Aiden Hill is a one-hit wonder or an O-neater. That's for the movie That Thing You Do with Tom Hanks. Go watch that movie. Great movie. But
that is a great movie.
It is a great movie. Right now, he is a one-hit wonder. Looking at his stats, he's never had greater than 35 regular season appearances. And that happened last year in an injury-filled season. He was still able to muster up 35 starts, or 35 appearances, I should say. Last season, 27 appearances, then 21-22 with the Sharks, 25. Arizona, he goes 19 and then 13 and 13. So, I mean, he is not a reliable regular season goalie from a health standpoint. When he's in the net, good things happen. The team usually plays well in front of him, and he puts up good numbers. Like, the dude can play. We're not knocking his ability. We're not knocking what he does when he is out there. We are simply looking at the fact that he has a Stanley Cup, definitely has a Stanley Cup. He's the one-hit wonder like all those bands that you just mentioned. Now, here's the good thing. He's 28 years old. His Golden Knights team should be pretty good next year. I mean, obviously, there's a ton of question marks as far as what's going to happen, but he still has plenty of time to shed that one-hit wonder image. And whether it's Vegas this year or Vegas next year, it's not going to be Vegas next year, or another team down the line, he can certainly shed that skin of being a one-hit wonder. Although I will say, the VGK faithful are pretty much behind Aiden Hill. 61.7 of the votes went for the no as far as him being a one-hit wonder. 29.9% said yes. Then 8.4% said the O-neaters.
Ooh, interesting. Did I fail to mention Mountains, Mississippi Queen? Why does VGK, why do they seem to reward players after that one big season?
What choice did they have? I mean, I think that's the perspective that Kelly McCrimmon had. How do you not extend the goalie who just put up the second highest save percentage in the history of the Stanley Cup playoffs? How do you not?
Did they overpay him?
What's that?
Did they overpay him?
Oh, I absolutely overpaid him. Look what he had 35 appearances last season, and he lost the starting gig going into the playoffs. It's a bad contract. Now, relax, everybody. Relax. I know you're getting up in arms. If you're still here, if you haven't turned off the podcast yet, again, another year is on the horizon. Aiden was doing what Aiden does. He was talking about getting his body right and putting himself in the right circumstances to come back next season and do well. I guess another reality to acknowledge with a short offseason leading up to last season, obviously all the Stanley Cup stuff and everything, Aiden put up his career high as far as appearances. So maybe he is trending in the right direction. I want to make sure we're looking at this from both sides. I want people saying, "Oh, they're bashing Aiden Hill." No, we're not bashing him, but at this stage right now, until he proves something else, Aiden Hill is a one-hit wonder. It is what it is. He's he's among a list of, let's see, like a Cam Ward, like a Halak, although we're talking about bringing him to the Golden Knights still. Michael Layton, there's a good one. Condos, I know you love listening to the podcast. So Michael Layton, 2010, somehow gets the Flyers to the Stanley Cup final. He was about like the 6th goalie or something like that, and then never to be heard from after that. So right now, that's Aiden Hill's reality. That's what Aiden Hill's reality is right now. Now that
and fans were more down on Logan Thompson, who actually accounted well for himself this past postseason when it mattered the most. Should Bruce Cassidy have platooned these two goaltenders in the playoffs? That's something I don't believe. I'll never let that go, to be honest with you. I seriously didn't believe. Again, here's a coach that says we'll never platoon players, blah, 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 like that in the playoffs. I'm against it. I'm opposed. And then lo and behold, that's what they do. And that's how they lost. First round.
Aiden Hill's injuries
lost, but it contributed.
Right. No, you're Aiden Hill's injuries and inconsistent play put the team in the spot. Let's call it what it is. They gave Aiden every opportunity just to go out there and have one good game in that last, week and a half. All he had to do is show VGK something that he was going to be okay heading into the playoffs. And he, for lack of a better term, had stinker after stinker. The team had no choice. We know where Sean Burke ranks Logan Thompson on the pecking order. There's Aiden Hill, then there's Aiden Hill, then there's Aiden Hill, then there's Aiden Hill, and then Logan Thompson is about the 6th goalie down on that pecking order. That's just how much Burke wants Aiden in the net versus Logan Thompson. Whether there's issues or relationship drama between Logan and Sean Burke, I think there probably is. Otherwise, Logan would play a little bit more. But Logan did well in the playoffs. Like, I don't know if he played poor enough to lose staying in the net after game 5. But that said, when Aiden pitches a shutout in game 6, feels like the right move was made.
I'm so just wondering now whether or not VGK makes an offer to either goaltender before the start of this campaign, the contract year. Let me stir it up.
No, they don't negotiate anything in the offseason. They don't negotiate anything in the playoff chase.
At all.
They don't negotiate in the next offseason. They just wait until it gets to the media, and they have no choice but to act like they're doing something.
If I'm Aiden Hill, I start spouting off in the media because then he's going to get a reaction.
Fair enough. I mean, I don't know. Next year is more important for Logan than Aiden. Aiden got $10 million. I mean, obviously more is better, and everyone wants to make more money in life, whether it's a professional athlete or me and Tony or the 400 or 500 people that are going to watch this podcast today. We all want to make more money regardless of what we do for a living, and NHL goalies are certainly no different. And Logan Thompson's been making 760, 800,000 AAV for like the last 4 or 5 years, and arguably I'll conservatively say he's been just as good as Aiden Hill for the last 2 seasons. And he also carried the Golden Knights to a near playoff appearance in season 5. So I'm really curious, and obviously next season's going to play out big, but I'm really curious what Logan Thompson's next contract looks like, whether it's with the Golden Knights or elsewhere. It's probably elsewhere at this point.
What's his AAV? About 3? Somewhere in that vicinity? I don't know.
Maybe a little closer to 3.5 to 4 if he goes to a place that's going to platoon goalies like a Boston, him and Jeremy Swayman. Imagine that, or Colorado, him and Georgiev, who did well. I mean, you never know. Maybe he's not going to be Shesterkin's backup because Shesterkin plays like 60-something games. You never know.
Too many games. Last 2 seasons, 19 and 12.
Tony going.
Yeah, 19 and 12, 16 and 7. Playoffs 12 and 3 for Aiden Hill. But you see some slippage perhaps in his game. Is that where we're headed here? He goes from the outhouse to the penthouse. Can he go back to the outhouse again? I remember he wasn't the top guy, and Cassidy was all over him.
Yeah, I mean, people forget really quickly that Aiden Hill, when he was traded for by the Golden Knights, he came in with a 2.4, 2.1, something like that, his AAV. So he was making basically 3 times as much as Logan Thompson, and that didn't stop Logan from being the man to start the 22-23 season. And then a series of injuries happen. All of a sudden, Jonathan Quick becomes a Golden Knight and the other guy, and the rest is history. But point being, it was Logan's net last year, and I don't know. I mean, I know we're just kind of shooting from the hip for the moment, but who's the starting goalie coming in next season? Aiden got it because he was the Stanley Cup winner. That is the only reason he got it last year. who starts game one of the 24-25 season. It's not a lock that it's Aiden Hill. It's not.
The unknown goaltender, maybe.
Halak.
Coming up next, which players regressed this past season? Our list come your way next, right here on Locked On Golden Knights. It is winner take all time in the NBA and in the National Hockey League, and FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. So right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on point spreads, on money lines, player props, and much, much more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, it's America's #1 sportsbook. Back on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights, Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick reporting from Las Vegas. Thanks so much for making us your first listen each and every day. Of course, we had the cameo yesterday and the promotion for the Chris times Chris Jr. show on Saturday on YouTube. And of course, on Fridays across all platforms, it is WTF. We need a positive topic today. Your microphone's off, bro.
Devo, whip it. There's another one-hit wonder for you.
Okay, I got you.
I got a big list. I'm having fun now.
Okay, we need a positive spin, a positive topic on this show, or else we're not going to secure the bag for having just one good show.
Not good timing, bro, as we're talking about players who regressed.
You're right. Bad timing. Okay, yes, talk about players who have regressed over the past season or so. It's okay. Here's my list, just plain and simple. I could go into each one of them. But Shea Theodore, Zach Whitecloud, holy smokes, I don't know what planet he was playing on this past season, and William Carrier. And that's my positive spin for the day.
That's your positive spin? That's your you're not going to go
regressing players, one-hit wonders. Oh, we're killing it today.
Oh, I love it. For me, I got 4 on my list. I probably should have put Shea Theodore on there too, but
let's see, number 20, Chandler Stevenson. I'm just going through.
Yeah, no, you can see who I got. Stevenson, 81 games played, 22-23, 75-23-24. Goes backwards in points by 14 points. Pietrangelo, 73 games played, 22-23, 64-23-24. His points dropped by 21. His points per game dropped a lot as well. Goes from a plus 13 to a minus 5. Alec Martinez, plus 30 in 22-23. At 77 games played, minus 2 at 55 games played in 23-24. And then Zach Whitecloud, I think you said that as well. 59 games played, 22-23, plus 10. 61 games played, 23-24, minus 3. Most notably for Zach Whitecloud, this is the first time he has had multiple games as a healthy scratch in this Golden Knights lineup.
Yeah. So Whitecloud, healthy scratch, game 5 against Dallas, was replaced by Ben Hutton, was benched by Cassidy back in April, only drew into the lineup, Whitecloud, when Pietrangelo, was injured or due to illness, as they said, had an upper body injury to start this season. We like this guy a lot. Had surgery in October, took 4 shots in 112 shifts in the playoffs. Took just 4 shots when they needed offense from anyone. 14 points this past season, a minus 3, was at 19 points, plus 21 in the 2021-22 season. And so we are starting to see some sort of a slide out of Zach Whitecloud. Again, we like the guy, but I think he's starting to regress, and we've seen some signs thereof this past season.
It's just acknowledging reality. Now, that said, Whitecloud is, 27 years old? He's young. He's got a nice team-friendly deal, even despite how things went last year. Let's get some details here. 27 years old. Just the plus-minus numbers, 2020-21, plus 9, 21-22, plus 21, 22-23, plus 10, 23-24, minus 3. His points output, I mean, he's always between 12 and 19 points. You mentioned the shots, so that's interesting because Whitecloud, I don't look at him as a Shea Theodore as far as a puck moving defenseman, but he does have mobility better than a Braden McNabb, So I think White Cloud certainly can work on improving things at the offensive end of the ice. And who knows what happens with the Golden Knights blue line next year. Shea Theodore and or Braden McNabb, we've been talking a lot about. We'll see what happens, especially if the March or so stuff heats up, which should be happening any time this week, I guess, according to the NHL Network. We'll see if and when and if some things get going there. But yeah, White Cloud needs to be a little bit better. And I know plus minus isn't as much of a telltale as it used to be, but it's still important. It's still a relevant stat, even though people argue against that.
Shea Theodore's shot. Let's talk about this for a moment. Everyone, I believe, has caught up with that little sidestep maneuver in the league, so he's not fooling anyone.
He's not doing it as well. There's a difference, but yeah.
Okay, but they still defend him differently now because they know everything's on film. I stayed till the end of the game, and I saw it. I saw it myself at the end of the game.
Yes.
No points in the postseason. Had 68 points and a plus 25 previously in the playoffs, which is just outstanding. Just 47 games, 42 points. That's okay this past season. 37 assists, and a player that is seldom injured. And we've talked about perhaps him on the trading block.
Seldom. 55 games played, 22-23, 47 games played, 23-24. So something's going on there where I don't know how you make yourself not injury prone, but something's going on there.
Stay till the end of the injury, bro. Stay till the end of the injury.
Stay till the end of the injury. There you go. Only 5 goals last season. That was his lowest scoring output basically since the 2017-2018 season. But again, he was a young buck then. Shea Theodore, again, someone who I highly touted as a dark horse Norris candidate, and he was putting up the metrics necessary early on in the year. If you're a point per game defenseman, you're in Norris consideration. End of story. There's more to it than that, but at the end of the day, that gets you in the conversation. Does that get you as a finalist? There's more to it than that, but it gets you in the conversation. Shea Theodore was, for a little bit, a point per game player, and there were some times he really was carrying the team from an offensive standpoint with getting a lot of assists, but games played. If he's not on the ice, what good is he?
Yeah. And then yesterday we talked about Carrier, just 39 games. Again, he's always injured.
And Shea Theodore, the same player, but
future endeavors list there.
If they even get the future endeavors tweet, we'll see. The Golden Knights haven't been doing that as much lately with personnel. It's been leaving the team.
Yeah. Oh, good point. And then, of course, we've got who else? You have Martinez up there. Yes, that poor fellow. I mean, it's just
age. It's
a lot of battle wounds. It's not even age. It's just being in the league for so long and taking so many shots. Jeez, he's blocked so many.
If there's a bigger warrior in the league, I mean, I don't know who it is. But Martinez, 22 less games played year over year. Now, some of that was healthy scratch, and I think some load management. There were some injury issues, but I think a little more, especially when Noah Hannafin arrived, I think that kind of pushed him out a little bit. But I think that was designed to a degree to get him some rest, and whatever conversation took place between him and Coach Cassidy, I think Martinez was okay with the circumstance, not the excuse, but the circumstances. 4 goals, 13 assists. That's right on par for, what he normally does. I mean, he spiked maybe in 2021 where he had 23 assists and 9 goals. And then back to his days with the Kings, he scored 9 goals. He had 30 assist season, a 10-goal season, 11 goals.
We don't see. Sorry to interrupt you there.
You're fine,
we don't see that explosion from the right circle. That's his go-to shot, right? Where he has that slap shot from that circle, and it's pretty lethal. I mean, he doesn't score a ton of times, but when he does have that opening, I mean, he could put it in the net. So
he's had power play time with the team before, and he scored on the power play from that circle.
From that, he likes that right-handed shot right there from that circle. He's
good.
I
mean, I don't know what the path is, and I think it obviously depends a lot on what happens with the Shea Theodore.
Did he take that shot this year? Did he even?
I think he had like one goal. Like
there.
I think he had one. I could be totally off.
I can't remember.
It could be the Dayquil talking and the coffee and the banana. I just had all combination into one. Yeah, no, I got a nice concoction going this morning here. So back to Martinez. It would be nice. I don't know what the path is, and league minimum is disrespectful to him for what he's done. I think he'll do better than that with another team. The question is like Martinez is going to go where he wants to go. His agent's not going to call the San Jose Sharks and be like, hey, $4 million. Martinez wants this last contract and to get paid. I don't think Martinez is that type of player, nor is he in that spot in his career. He's either going to want to go somewhere with a tie, like the Detroit Red Wings, who are a competitive team who could get into the playoffs. That's his home, obviously. Or to another team who, could be a Stanley Cup contender where he could be the missing link to get the team there. Like your New York Rangers. There you go, Tony. Alec Martinez to the Rangers with Jonathan Quick. Reunite him.
Okay. You also have Pietrangelo up there. He's lost a step.
He's 33 years old or whatever. I mean, that's just
but he's lost a step, and he just makes some silly penalties. Is that on the regression scale too?
You're not wrong. And I mean, in the playoffs, he definitely is. It's becoming habitual. Call it what it is. It's becoming habitual. And for someone who wears a letter on their jersey, for someone who gets was it 9 million or whatever the number is AAV, that can't happen. It can't happen from anyone. Definitely can't happen from someone wearing a letter who has been in the NHL for 1,016 regular season games, 139 playoff games, 2 Stanley Cups, 34 years old. He's got to be better. From a games played perspective, his health last year was actually perfect. He unfortunately missed those games with his personal family matter. So he couldn't play all the games last year, but only 64 games played this season, 80 the season before that. In the weird COVID shortened season, he played 41 of 56 games, then 70, 71, 78, and 80. So, I mean, we'll see what next season is. We hope, obviously, that 64 games is an outlier, and hopefully he gets back to playing north of 70 games. But again, his points definitely regressed a little bit. 54 down to 33, plus 13 the previous year, minus 5 this year. It matters. Those numbers matter.
We didn't have a recap book like we had last year, right? Like after the Stanley Cup was won. I think you and I should write a book called The 9 Surgeries and then go into each surgery and all of that in medical terms.
Excuses, not circumstances? Oh, it's the other way around.
That could be circumstances, not excuses. Yes.
Chemistry, chapter 1.
Bad ice. A lot of bad ice. Coming up next, Irene Cara, Flashdance, what a feeling. We're going to be talking about perhaps VGK will be looking for a new television play-by-play voice.
Electric Avenue, Eddie Grant.
When we return right here on Locked On Golden Knights.
This is so fun.
Welcome back to this edition of Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cradasco and Chris Golick reporting from Las Vegas. We appreciate you making us your first listen each and every day.
Digital Playground, the Humpty Dance. Let's go.
Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? You have to turn down the volume with all that's shouting, all of that. Stephen A., everyone just making a lot of noise, talking about Caitlin Clark and all that. Make a switch to Locked On Sports today. I think you knew where I was going with this. It's a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thought I'd get that in there.
Cupid Shuffle was from 2007. I thought that was like an older wedding song going way back, but somewhat recent.
I think you're thinking of the Chicken Dance, which goes way back. Whoever
back in the 60s.
Yeah, that's maybe 50s. Okay, so VGK could be looking for a new television play-by-play man. The second that Jack Edwards, who stunk, that might be the worst play-by-play announcer ever in the history of the NHL.
Such a New York guy.
He was so bad. Okay. So Jack Edwards retires forcibly, I'm sure, future endeavors. And then as soon as that news crossed our desks, Dave Goucher is going to take that job. Well, now the Boston Globe finally reporting this past weekend that perhaps Goucher, the TV play-by-play guy for the VGK on state-run television, I might add, could be headed back to Boston, where he was the radio play-by-play guy from 2000 to 2017. This is not earth-shattering.
Over 17 years? Wow.
Yeah, not earth-shattering news though. However, he was on the radio side for the longest time.
Face for radio, I don't know. No, Goucher's a good dude.
That's me.
Goucher, I mean, I've always enjoyed interacting with him. I enjoy his calls. I think they're fun. I think he's neutral too. I mean, as neutral as the state run gets, of course, but you hear voice inflection when the other team scores a goal. I'm not saying he's excited, but it's not just like the Tampa guys, was it Esposito or something like that, who are just the worst homers in the universe. The Toronto Maple Leafs play-by-play guys, same thing. Like, I'm okay with a homer. I'm okay with, bias and stuff like that. That's, although you don't get too much of that on this show, oddly enough. But I'm okay with it to a degree. And that's why I do like Goucher. Goucher does a good job presenting the game from a totality perspective, and he's got good stories, and he's just a good conversationalist. And maybe former, but the musician side of me would miss him, because obviously Goucher, I think he plays in some bands around town and like does gigs and stuff like that. So he's a performer as well. So that the city would certainly miss that. And he's a good guy, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if whatever the reasons are, not wanting to work for the Golden Knights, maybe, but whatever
No,
the
that's where
reasons
he's
are.
from. That's where
What's
he's
that?
from. That's his
where he's
dream
from,
job.
sure.
Yeah, that's where it's a dream job.
It is, absolutely. Well,
You
I
know?
mean, Golden Knights TV calls a pretty good job too. I'd be curious if there's a battle to keep him here, or if the money is irrelevant. The money might not matter. He might just want to go back.
Someone put my name on a chain, said that I should be the new play-by-play guy on TV. So Tony Dasco from Locked On VGK. Oh boy, that would be major shenanigans. It would be a lot of fun though. I would want you as my color analyst though.
Isn't there a real Big Fish song called "Sell Out with Me"? That would be your song right there.
No, but there is.
I'd take the bag. Don't get me wrong. I would take the bag too.
There is a song by Dexy's Midnight Runners called "Come On, Eileen." So that was a one-hit wonder as well.
Song.
You like that song? It was one and done though. Like
how many movies?
Aiden Hill?
Movies
Like
got
Aiden
that
Hill?
song?
I don't
Come on,
know.
Aiden. What?
So
Come on, Aiden Hill?
do you think Goucher's going to leave? I think he does. I think
I
he
think there's a
takes that
reasonable
opportunity.
chance.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the circumstances were with him leaving Boston. I don't think it was any.
No,
any
it's just
intent or
he was
anything. It was
doing radio play-by-play. He comes here to do TV.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, I'm sure that's
with a
upward
new team.
movement, and obviously it's a little more money. And I mean, I'm sure Goucher wouldn't change anything. I mean, he got to call 2 Stanley Cup victories now, one in Boston in that time, and obviously the Golden Knights most recently. So it's about what he wants to do now, instead of him just going for the money. Like I said, maybe Boston's less money. I doubt it. Original 6 versus Vegas. I mean, who knows? But good for him if he does go. Good for him if he does stay. I just want him to be where he wants to be. And I will say, Goucher has been a little spicy down the stretch. He was a little spicy in some of these in some of the media scrums where we talked about with Cassidy.
With Cassidy.
Hey, where you going with that, Goucher? Where you going with that? Where you going with that?
Yes. Well,
and
if you
Goucher
have
was
that
even in some of the
leverage
media
for a job,
scrums.
he had the leverage for the new job. So
Yeah, no, I mean,
they've had discussions, I'm sure.
Of course. I mean, okay, who gets signed first, Goucher or Jonathan Marchessault?
Goucher. Goucher's
What's
going to
more
be out of
likely,
here.
the Athletics coming to Vegas or Jonathan Marchessault getting extended?
Oh, jump ball. That's a jump ball.
Jump ball.
Yeah, that one's
two 6'7" forwards going at it.
Yeah. We appreciate everyone tuning in.
That's good. I like that.
I don't know where else we can go at this show today.
Home is the
I
answer.
do want to do the Dasco cast though, like when there's a hockey game, just you and I. Just
I think that'd be cool. That'd
we
be a lot
can
of
do
fun.
that. Let's do that once next season
Do we
with all
drink
these
or
new
no?
players.
Or you don't drink, right?
Yeah, I don't drink, but yeah, I still
Can I drink?
act like I'm drunk. You drink for both of us on the show. Of course, we appreciate everyone tuning in, especially our everydayers. Thank you so much for tuning in. And of course, please subscribe to our Locked On Golden Knights YouTube channel. And that is a must do. And of course, that is the home of the Chris and Chris Jr. show, which comes your way each and every Saturday morning. Of course, Chris Jr. permitting. And of course, on Fridays, it's WTF. Don't miss that.
Permitting right now. I almost told you we were taking a day off today.
We appreciate you tuning in. Get better, get well, and bring your spiciness back tomorrow. Do we have a topic tomorrow?
Is
on
going
the
to the water
napkin?
park a good idea today? Because I think it's what we might be doing.
You're going back to the water park?
We got season passes. They're cheap.
Oh, that's fun. Go do it, man. Get some chlorine in the system. Swallow a few cups. We appreciate you tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow, of course, for my man, Chris Golick, Tony Cardasco reporting from Las Vegas. and please take care.